The manga opens up with a girl, Nanase, who stands smiling as she holds an envelope in front of her and politely expresses her thanks. Her demeanor is calm and composed, giving the impression that she has acknowledged what was given to her. Without any pause, she then brings her hands together and tears the envelope straight down the middle. The ripping sound cuts through the moment as the paper splits apart. Her expression shifts to one of clear disinterest as she continues tearing it into pieces. She makes her stance explicit, stating that she will not accept a confession from someone who lacks the courage to say it directly. The torn scraps are then thrown away, and her rejection is made unmistakably clear. The scene begins with classmates watching Nanase Rei, as one of them comments in amazement that she really does live up to her reputation as the cold-hearted princess. The narration explains how that nickname came to be. Ever since she entered the school, Nanase has received constant attention from both boys and girls and has been confessed to many times, yet she has rejected every confession without hesitation. Because she cuts people off so decisively, the nickname naturally spread. At the same time, her popularity is explained by her qualities, as she is known in the class for being athletic, intelligent, and very attractive. The focus then shifts back to the classroom, where a classmate casually asks Minato-kun if he has any interest in her. Minato reacts immediately with clear annoyance, shutting the idea down and making it obvious he dislikes that kind of suggestion. As the exchange ends, another student quietly reflects on Nanase's reputation once again, reinforcing that the cold-hearted princess label suits her well. Kanata speaks confidently, teasing Minato by saying he still doesn't get it and pointing out that he's as easy to read as ever. He casually adds that he feels like giving it a try, clearly enjoying how relaxed he is about the whole situation. Minato reacts with confusion, pushing back internally and making it clear that Kanata's way of thinking doesn't make sense to him. Kanata continues, explaining his perspective by comparing men to creatures who want to climb the most impregnable mountains, suggesting that the challenge itself is the appeal simply because it exists. Minato immediately rejects that idea, stating that he doesn't relate to it at all. The conversation moves on as Kanata brushes it off, implying that Minato doesn't really need to think about it. Minato questions what he means, still not following. Kanata then bluntly clarifies his point, saying he also has no interest in taking on a losing fight, especially when it involves someone who has never even interacted with a girl before. The exchange ends with Minato left silent, the comment landing squarely on him. Minato reflects on how closely Nanase Rei is tied into his routine. He points out that they even work the same part-time job and that she sits right next to him in class, identifying her again as the cold-hearted princess everyone talks about. On the surface, it sounds like they're fairly involved with each other, but that thought is immediately corrected. He admits that despite all of that shared space, they barely even talk. The moment ends with that contrast lingering. What seems like involvement from the outside is reduced to coincidence, and Minato's trailing thought makes it clear that their relationship hasn't gone beyond sharing the same places. At work, a coworker openly voices disbelief, questioning why someone from a prestigious family like Nanase Rei's would be working in a place like this, and even suspecting it might be a prank. That reaction is immediately supported by another comment, pointing out that the Nanase family is a renowned former noble family, which only makes the situation harder to accept. The focus then shifts to the counter, where the manager is addressed. There's a request not to explain everything all at once, but the response that follows admits uncertainty, making it clear that the reason isn't fully understood. The moment continues, with it being pointed out that Minato and Nanase have never spoken outside of work. That observation turns into a comment aimed at Minato, suggesting that this situation might be difficult for him since he's never dealt with anything like it at school, followed by a thought questioning whether this is part of learning about society. Minato immediately pushes back internally, rejecting the idea outright. In response, someone expresses confidence in him, saying that because it's Minato, he should be able to handle it, and adding that what matters is being someone who understands her. Attention briefly shifts to Nanase, where someone bluntly acknowledges how cute she is, met with nothing more than a silent, unreadable look. The calm is suddenly broken when a lizard-looking dude aggressively slams his hand on the counter and demands service. He leans in close and crudely suggests that she should come have fun with him. Nanase doesn't react to the provocation. She remains composed and calmly asks for his order, shutting down his behavior without escalating the situation. the man continues crowding Nanase at the counter, speaking casually as if he has the right to. He comments that since she's working part-time, she must need money, and suggests he'll buy her whatever she wants. Nanase reacts immediately, flinching as his hand comes too close. She responds first, firmly telling him that if he isn't ordering anything, he needs to leave, and that standing there is bothering the other customers. Seeing the situation escalate, Minato steps in from the side, trying to calm things down and insisting they handle it first. At the same time, the manager reacts more urgently, preparing to call the police if necessary. Only after that does the man push back, brushing off the concern and claiming that despite how he looks, he's connected to a major corporation and is the boss's son. The manager then checks on Nanase, asking if she's all right. Nanase answers calmly that she's used to dealing with people like this. That response irritates the man, who shows his frustration openly. Nanase remains composed and unmoved, and the moment ends with the quiet acknowledgement that this cold, controlled handling of the situation is exactly what people expect from the one known as the cold-hearted princess. After the shift ends, Minato speaks up as he's heading out, saying she did good work today. As he leaves, his thoughts immediately turn to Nanase, and he admits to himself that what she did earlier was genuinely impressive, especially given the clear difference in size between her and the man she faced. Nanase answers briefly, saying that she's leaving as well, her response calm and to the point. Once he's on his own, Minato keeps replaying the moment in his head. He reminds himself that Nanase said she's used to situations like that, trying to accept it as the truth. Even so, doubt lingers. He wonders if maybe he was mistaken, but one detail won't leave him alone. No matter how composed she looked, he distinctly remembers that her hand was shaking at the time. Minato spots someone ahead, and pauses when he realizes it's Nanase. Standing close to her is the same man from earlier, which makes Minato quietly question what he's seeing. Nanase turns to the man and firmly tells him to stop following her. Minato reacts with brief confusion as he takes in the situation. Watching more closely, Minato understands that the man hasn't given up. Nanase tries to move away and states that she's going home, clearly telling him not to come any closer. The man ignores her words and continues after her anyway. From where he stands, Minato thinks to himself that the man is still persisting and recognizes him as that same flirty guy from before, realizing that the encounter didn't end at work and is still ongoing. Nanase stops and turns back with a hard glare, her irritation finally breaking through. She tells the man to leave immediately, and makes it clear she doesn't even want to share the same air with him. Her blunt rejection draws startled reactions from the side, with Minato questioning whether it's really okay to provoke him that much, followed by another stunned response at how intense the situation has become. The man's attitude shifts instantly. He takes offense, snapping back that her looks don't give her the right to act arrogant. Before the moment can de-escalate, he reaches out and grabs her arm. Nanase reacts right away, shouting for him to stop and trying to pull free as the encounter crosses from words into physical confrontation. The lizard-looking man grabs Nanase, deciding he should have used brute force from the start. He wonders why she has no escorts from her family protecting her. Minato watches from the side and considers what he should do. For a brief moment, he tells himself she can handle it on her own. After all, she isn't called the cold-hearted princesses for no reason. But then, his thoughts drift back to the first confrontation. He remembers seeing her shaking when she faced the 5'2" lizard-looking man. Without giving himself time to think, Minato sprints forward without hesitation, even as he reminds himself that he had already decided to stay out of troublesome things. Minato leaps into the air, calling out to the lizard-looking man, ready to deliver a devious flying kick to his ugly head. Unfortunately, the lizard ducks and dodges the attack, but the opening gives Minato enough space to step between them. He calls the man out, saying how wrong it is for a grown man to lay his hands on a woman, and declares that someone like him truly sits at the lowest of the low. Minato then warns him that he won't miss the next kick. The lizard man, clearly irritated after Minato ruined his hair, snaps back and asks if it's really acceptable to raise his hands against him. The answer is obvious. With a smile on his face, Minato mockingly says it was his foot. The comment instantly infuriates the lizard-looking man, who declares that he'll make sure both Nanase and Minato never speak again. He launches a barrage of punches straight at Minato, but it's all for nothing. Minato can already see through every move, predicting each strike with ease. In that moment, he realizes the fight will be easy to control. The scene shifts to Minato, gripping the ugly man's arm with such force it looks ready to break. He calmly explains that he may have been a little too confident in his grip strength, briefly wondering if he should discipline the delinquent even more. What a hero. The ugly man, still cowering in pain, fires off frantic questions, asking if Minato even knows who he is. He complains that he can't put any strength into his arm, then threatens that if Minato goes this far, his father won't stay quiet about it, which would be the end of both Minato's and Nanase's social lives. Nanase calmly explains that he probably hadn't noticed, but his father must be having a hard time. Confused, he questions her. Nanase then explains that they had actually met before, at a party. He stutters, trying to remember, still visibly confused. And then it finally clicks slowly that she's that Nanase from the parent company, and that her family is one of the major shareholders. With a bright smile, Nanase cheerfully adds that she's going to have a very lovely chat with her father about what happened today. Realizing just how badly this could ruin his already miserable life, the ugly man drops to his knees in remorse, begging her to keep today's events a secret. Nanase, showing her maturity, calmly assures him that she understands and will let him go. And without a single moment of hesitation, he runs away with his third leg from her presence, as fast as he can. Clearly uncomfortable, Nanase lowers her head in disappointment as Minato steps closer, trying to comfort her and asking if she's okay. Then, with a cold expression, she sharply knocks his hand away and calmly orders him to stay back, questioning what he was trying to gain by saving her. Minato, remaining composed, tells her he wanted nothing in return. He explains that he simply helped an acquaintance who was being attacked. He then adds that now that she's able to move on her own, it seems she's fine, and that realization alone puts him at ease. Nanase's expression softens slightly as she quietly responds that she understands. Shocked by his answer, Nanase asks if that was really all he wanted. In Minato's mind, he considers mentioning that he saw her hand shaking, but decides it would be insensitive. Composing himself, he simply says yes, that was all. He adds that his body just moved on its own. Hearing this, Nanase suddenly bursts into laughter. The reaction leaves Minato confused, prompting him to question her, but she quickly reassures him that it's nothing, and that she understands. After a brief pause, Nanase admits that she should probably thank him for saving her. Her expression softens into a cute, flustered smile, clearly caught off guard by the bravery he showed her today. Embarrassed, she quickly turns and runs off, leaving our Rizzler boy Minato behind as he calls out his goodbye. Only then does it hit him that he could have offered to walk her home, but by that point, it's already too late. Still caught up in the moment, Nanase keeps running until she finally stops at a nearby pole to catch her breath. Quietly, she mutters to herself, wondering if that was really it, and if it was, why he had tried so hard. Lost in her thoughts, she's suddenly interrupted when her personal driver calls out to her, asking what happened. Nanase responds calmly and composed, telling him it was nothing, and that she simply tripped over a pebble near the old man. Later, as they ride in the car, the driver hesitates before speaking again, gently asking if she might want to tell him something. The next day, Minato wanders through his thoughts, wondering why he even got involved in such a big fight yesterday. He's suddenly pulled back to reality when his manager taps him and reminds him to smile. Still distracted and clearly distressed, Minato mutters that it's his policy not to get involved in troublesome things. He lets out a quiet sigh, admitting to himself that this was yet another thing he couldn't quite understand. The scene then shifts to Minato, noticing that Nanase has been acting strange all day. No matter where he goes, he keeps running into her, and every time their eyes meet, she gives him a playful wink. At one point, she suddenly sits beside him and starts talking with a smile he's never seen before. He explains that every time they met, she gave him some kind of signal. By the end of the day, strange rumors about him had already started spreading. Minato tries to make sense of it all, but eventually comes to a single conclusion: his peaceful school life has been ruined. The realization sends him straight into a state of panic. Disappointed, Minato mutters to himself about how he ran off to his part-time job, only to end up completely exhausted. While he's at work, his manager notices and asks if he's okay. Still feeling drained, Minato quietly tells her that he'll be heading out early. She agrees and lets him go. Lost in his thoughts once again, he decides to stop thinking about Nanase for now, relieved that they don't even share the same shift today. Back in the locker room, Nanase pretends to be casually reading a book. As Minato walks by, she lightly compliments him, telling him he did a good job at work today. Minato, not giving her any attention, strides past her and mutters under his breath, "Her too." In a shy but calm tone, Nanase points out that he probably shouldn't be undressing in front of a lady. Startled, Minato blurts out her name, clearly confused about why she's there, especially since he thought she had the day off. Nanase then explains that she does have the day off, but she came in anyway because she has some business to discuss with him. Lost in distressed thoughts, Minato questions whether he did something to upset her and wonders how his day could have gone so wrong. He had only wanted to get through it without any trouble. Still caught in his thoughts, Nanase suddenly rushes up to him and wraps her arms around him, saying with clear relief that it's finally just the two of them. Completely confused, Minato asks what she thinks she's doing. Nanase replies calmly that she's just hugging him, tightening her hold as she gently rubs his back. Minato quickly protests, saying that isn't what he meant. He wants to know why. She leans in closer, sniffing his arm and quietly muttering to herself that he's quite something. She adds that he actually smells nice, admitting she likes his fragrance. Minato, still completely lost, points out that she's standing far too close to him. Confused, he can't help but wonder if this really is the so-called cold-hearted princess. Realizing how serious the situation has become, Minato tries to push her away. Instead, she stubbornly tightens her grip, declaring that she won't let go. Seeing this, Minato asks what he's supposed to do to make her release him. She quietly mumbles to herself, telling him to ask properly. Then she suddenly grabs his head and, in an assertive tone, tells him that when he wants to say something, he should say it while looking the other person in the eyes. In the heat of the moment, she calmly says that if he kisses her, she'll let go of him. The irony isn't lost after all. She hated it when that lizard-looking guy grabbed her and begged him to let go. Minato, completely unable to keep up with what's happening, can only think to himself how wildly different she's acting now compared to how she is at school. Minato refuses her offer to kiss her. Nanase immediately asks why he won't. Minato explains that he can't do that because she isn't his girlfriend, she's just his classmate. Hearing this, Nanase puffs out her cheeks in frustration, clearly unsatisfied with his answer. Still upset, she makes another demand instead, insisting that he hug her and hold her tightly. In that moment, Minato questions what's even happening anymore, seriously wondering if this is really the cold princess everyone talks about. Still lost in his thoughts, Nanase declares that she won't let him go until he hugs her. With very few options left, Minato realizes he can't stay like this forever, and that his body simply won't hold out. He finally comes to a decision, and asks if hugging her will make her let go. Nanase nods in confirmation, assuring him that it will. Minato leans in and wraps his arms around her. As he does, he feels a strange sensation, one he can't quite explain. And despite everything, he realizes he doesn't actually hate it. Suddenly, Minato's manager knocks on the locker room door, calling out to check if he's feeling all right. Aware of how serious the situation could be, Minato quickly answers that he's fine. He then leans in and quietly asks Nanase to let him go for a moment. Still stubborn, she insists they keep hugging just a little longer. Inside his thoughts, Minato can't help but wonder where her cold-hearted side disappeared to. Eventually, she lets go, and Minato explains that staying here would be a bad idea. He suggests they go to his place instead. Nanase reacts in surprise, clearly caught off guard that he would offer that. Minato, unfazed, explains that it's just an apartment and that he lives there by himself. The thought lingers in Nanase's mind, imagining the two of them alone together. When Minato asks if something's wrong, she calmly says it's nothing and urges him to hurry so they can leave. Once they arrive at Minato's place, he offers her a coffee and asks if she wants it black. Nanase replies that she wants a black coffee with milk and sugar as well. An awkward silence settles over the room. Nanase starts glancing around uncontrollably, taking in every corner of his apartment. While she's still looking around, Minato returns with her coffee and casually remarks that there isn't much to see and that there's nothing weird about the place. Nanase awkwardly comments that for someone living alone, his apartment is actually quite tidy. Then, in a teasing tone, she points out a bit of dust she noticed, which makes Minato blurt out in disbelief if she's his mother-in-law. As Minato hands her the coffee, he finally starts a conversation, asking why she acted the way she did earlier. Nanase responds by saying the reason should be obvious, she did it because she likes him. Still confused by her answer, Minato asks why someone like her would take an interest in someone like him. Nanase explains that after he saved her at work the day before, she saw him differently, and in that moment, he looked really cool to her. Hearing this, Minato reflects silently, realizing once again that back then, his body had simply moved on its own. Nanase then asks what he thinks about it and whether he wants to go out with her. Still struggling to process what she's saying, Minato blurts out in disbelief, questioning why she's suddenly asking him out. He goes on to explain that a young lady from the royal Nanase family shouldn't be dating someone so casually. Nanase calmly confirms that in her family, parents do end up deciding who their children will marry. Hearing that, Minato questions her in return, pointing out that if that's the case, then she's really no different from them. Nanase then teases him, stating he was going to be the next head of his family, which makes Minato sigh, stating she knew all along on how his family had supported the country behind the scenes for many years. And he was a former noble family. She further explains hence the reason why he still hasn't told the people so close to him, making Minato feel uncomfortable, saying he doesn't like bothersome things. It then shows Minato with resolve in his eyes, staging his sole purpose was to leave an heir for the family and had not interest in love. Minato then ends the thought by stating that someday he too will be engaged to someone his parents chooses, which makes Nanase grin, questioning if that someday will really happen. Nanase then further states that his family is pretty strict in that sort of thing, then further explaining that her older sister would be the one to inherit the family based of his hierarchy. Minato also explains he has a younger sister, but she isn't interested in doing any of that stuff, which makes Nanase see a resemblance in her and his younger sister, stating they hate bothersome stuff like that. Then going on to say she would like to meet his younger sister because she's like him as well. Minato explains that his sister hasn't even finished middle school yet, unlike him, who's mostly kept out of the spotlight. He wonders aloud if the two of them would ever meet someday. Hearing this, Nanase's eyes light up with excitement. She immediately asks if his sister looks like him, or if she likes sweets, making Minato quickly realize her plan. She's trying to win him over through his sister. As the scene shifts, Minato finds himself reflecting on how calm it feels to talk with Nanase. When he really thinks about it, he realizes he's never had such a deep conversation with someone who understands his situation so well. And surprisingly, spending time like this once in a while doesn't feel so bad. After their little chat, Nanase decides it's time to leave. She thanks Minato for the delicious coffee. This time, Minato doesn't forget to offer to walk her home. Nanase gently declines, saying it's fine and that she'll just call for a ride. She adds that today was really fun. Minato replies that he had fun too. Hearing that simple answer, Nanase becomes flustered, her feelings for him growing even stronger. Just as Nanase is about to leave, she calls out to Minato, clearly wanting to say something that's been on her mind. In the end, she thinks better of it and simply says her goodbyes. Minato returns the farewell in kind. After she's gone, Minato finds himself thinking about how cute she'd be if she smiled like that at school. Quietly, he hopes they'll be able to talk more casually next time. The next day, Minato is talking with one of his classmates, who keeps rambling on about some playboy nonsense that barely makes any sense. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted when Nanase approaches and politely asks if she can speak with Minato for a moment, requesting a bit of his time. This immediately makes his friend question what Minato could have possibly done to earn a private conversation with the cold-hearted princess. Nanase responds with a sharp, murderous glare that makes him quickly look away in fear. Watching this, Minato can't help but think that her presence feels far more intense than it did yesterday. For a moment, he even wonders if the Nanase from yesterday was nothing more than an illusion. Not wanting to waste his time, Nanase calmly says that if Minato is busy, she can come back later. Minato quickly replies with an unconfident no. His classmate tries to lean in and whisper, asking what he did to her, but Minato ignores him completely and instead asks Nanase what she needs. Nanase suddenly breaks the silence, announcing that her family has already decided who her fiancé will be. The statement shocks the entire class, leaving everyone frozen as they struggle to process what they just heard. Amid the stunned silence, Minato responds in a calm tone, saying that he understands. Lost in his thoughts, Minato struggles with how he should respond to her announcement. He wonders whether he should be happy for her or show sympathy, knowing all too well that marriages decided for family reasons rarely involve love. It's their fate, and it feels cruel that it's happening so soon. Minato then asks what kind of person her fiancé is. Nanase explains that they'll be having a formal greeting soon. Hearing this, Minato offers her a few words of encouragement. He knows it's going to bring all kinds of trouble, but with a faint smile, he tells her to hang in there. Nanase responds nervously, saying that she'll do her best. That single answer sends the entire classroom into a frenzy, filled with gossip and whispered chatter. Even Minato's friend reacts dramatically, joking that he could cry on Minato's chest, convinced that he himself had been rejected by the so-called cold princess. After everything that's happened, we find Minato sitting alone in his living room, lost in a cloud of thoughts. He reflects on how Nanase has already made peace with her fate for the sake of her family. He knows that someday, he too will likely end up with someone he doesn't even know. Deep down, he realizes that all those carefully chosen words couldn't hide his true confusion. He questions whether this is really the future waiting for him. Just then, his phone rings. It's a call from his father. The scene shifts to Minato, dressed in a kimono, clearly distressed. No matter how he looks at it, the marriage talks feel like they're moving far too fast. He can't help but question how everything ended up turning out this way for him. We're shown a flashback of Minato on the phone with his father. Out of nowhere, his dad announces that Minato's fiancée has already been chosen and that he'll be meeting them tomorrow. Still trying to process it, Minato asks why it has to be so soon. The scene then shifts back to the present, where Minato questions whether marriage proposals are suddenly spiraling out of control, leaving him feeling overwhelmed and distressed. Glancing at the time, he starts to wonder where his father is. They're already just 2 minutes away from their scheduled meeting. As Minato struggles through the rush of emotions, he suddenly hears his father call out to him. He looks up in disbelief, only to see his dad arriving in a helicopter. His father casually leaps down, complimenting Minato on his outfit, instantly making Minato realize that his dad hasn't changed one bit. We then learn that his father, Ichijo Shinya, is the head of the Ichijo family. His father follows up with a few firm smacks to Minato's backside paws, before going on to explain that his future partner is quite the beauty. He tells Minato that he should look forward to it, adding that she also comes from a top-notch family. Shinya, his dad, then speaks in an upbeat tone, reminding Minato that as the next head of the family, he needs to start acting like it. Hearing that, Minato places a hand over his chest, steadying himself as he steels his resolve. As all of this sinks in, Minato clenches his fist, resolving to toughen up for the sake of his family. He knows that if he doesn't, he'll lose face, especially in front of Nanase. With that resolve in mind, they approach the meeting room. With his resolve set, Minato reaches the room and slides the door open. In that instant, his heart drops when he sees who's standing in front of him. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you'd love to see a part 2, let me know.